I know a lot of our athletes tend to be more humble when we try to coach them up, not to talk about themselves too much, but what does that type of award verify for you and in relation to the goals that you've set for yourself?
I mean, it's a huge honor to be a ODAC Field Athlete of the Week or ODAC Athlete of the Week, period, because there's so many athletes that we have in the ODAC, and you're saying that you're the best performance. You're the best performer that was in the ODAC for that week. And knowing that it's only my second one. I mean, I've had one last year and then one this past weekend, and it's a huge honor because you got to look back to where I was my freshman year, where hey, I wasn't even thinking about these honors. I didn't even know these existed. So I'm like, now we're getting into the junior and senior year, and we're getting into better performances, and we're going to these Division I meets, and you're still pointing me out being the athlete of the week. That's a big honor for me. I think that's a big honor for me.
Well, certainly you did some of that work on your own by being number one on the results list in a D1 meet. I mean, how does that also like a pinch yourself moment that you were competing against what is on paper supposed to be a better athlete at Division I and you come out as the winner?
Yeah, the thing about those Division I meets, we get invited. You know, we're one of the few Division III schools that get invited to those meets because we all can compete with the D1 athletes. And I always had that thing in my mind saying that I can always win these meets. I can go anywhere and I can win. And even back in my freshman year, where this meet swallowed me up, the same meet in January, the Cadet Invitational, this meet, the lights, the cameras, they all swallowed me up. I never was used to it. Now I'm here in my senior year, and I'm like, hey, I can perform just as well as these other D1 athletes. So I think it's the mentality, the confidence that I have that's changed more so than the physical aspects of it.
Can you point to one thing or a couple things that have led to that change? Obviously, we know that in college, any of us that have gone through college years, we're going to change no matter what we find ourselves, in a more deeper level. But athletically, are there things that you can point to that have assisted with that change?
I would say mostly I would go with preparation. We go into those meets and we're well prepared. Every athlete's well prepared. And I think that the more weeks that we go into the season and the more weeks that we get repetition under our belt, we're more prepared to do that. And I think it's more, when you're prepared, you're mentally ready. You know, when you're going into when you're stepping on the runway, you're ready. You know, you don't have to worry about, oh, did I do this week, or am I gonna pop a big one? You know, because you're prepared and the opportunity is there for you. So I would say preparation meets opportunity, and we say that all the time. And the big word for that one is execution. So when we execute, that's when the preparation meets opportunity, and we can really pop those big marks. And that's what I've seen over the course of 4 years.
Now, we know that you are obviously very good at the long jump, but I'm curious what other goals you might have for other events for yourself, because it's very rare in the track and field world that you stick with just one event and that's all you do. It'd be a very boring day if all you had was one thing to do. So what about other goals for your senior season do you have, maybe in relation to other events that you're participating in?
Yeah. So indoors, I have the 60-meter dash and the 200-meter dash. I also compete in. And so the goals there was, since there's no ODAC championships for indoors, unfortunately, I'm just worried about getting those times down and hopefully trying to get into a national competition for a sprint event too. And I know that's not too far out of there, but everybody talks about the long jump because I've done it before, but the 60 the 60 and the 200, those are really good events that I could probably be in the mix for this year. And that's for the indoor season. The outdoor season, we have 4x1 relay, we have the 100 meters, and the 200 meters. And I think for those, and we will have an ODAC championship that season. So I mean, I'm always going to shoot for being the champion, always.
Really, when I really only see this when it comes to long jump or anything with a pit, but when someone is about to start their run, some people like to start a slow clap for themselves. I want to know your opinion on that because I mean, I don't. Sometimes it's cool, and then sometimes from an outside perspective, I'm like, all right, that's enough. Like,
Yeah.
let's just go. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen you attempt that, so obviously, I don't think it's something that you need to get you going. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that little bit of, if you call it a tradition.
Yeah, so that slow clap, it's a rhythm clap, and I've done it. I would say I can count on my fingers how many times I've done it. I mean, I've done it a few times, maybe in an indoor meet or going into the last jump where I'm close to winning, and I mean, it does give you a little boost because it's everybody's looking at you now. You know, everybody's clapping for you. So, my opinion on it, and when I went to Geneva, Ohio for nationals 2 years ago. There were some jumpers that did it all 6 times.
Ooh.
And some of those, I mean, and some of them got going. I think doing it all 6 times, doing both series, prelims and finals, I think it gets a little unnecessary at some point. But in my opinion, I would say if I were to do it, I would probably do it in jump 5 or 6, you know, when the competition is close and you need that little push, maybe you need an extra inch, maybe you need an extra 2 inches, and you need to get after it and get in the air and jump that. And everybody's looking at you. So I think it's the adrenaline. I think people like the adrenaline and people like the rhythm of the clap because it gets faster as you run down the runway. And it kind of imitates your footsteps and you're getting faster as you're hitting the board. And but in my opinion, I've seen it. It works. I would say it works. And sometimes, you know, it's a gambling thing. Sometimes it may work. Sometimes you might mess it up. Somebody might mess up the rhythm for you, and it's all flat from there.
You better hope that your fellow track stars are on rhythm in that moment. I guess like anything else, it's better in moderation. You can have too much of it. I know Coach Moatang, he was a big fan of it.
Oh yeah. He's one of the ones. I always get on him about that because too.
always like every time he went up, it's like, oh, EMU's here, Moatang's here.
When you hear the "let's go," and then you know it's time. You know, your hands get tired sometimes.
Hey, I got one more thing for you, just from a local perspective. And I talked to some athletes. I talked to a lot of athletes, but I talked to some and I asked them if they're not from here, hey, what do you like to do? Where do you like to go? What do you think of outside of Lakeside Drive? Because obviously recruiting is a lot of what is happening here on campus, but there's other things to do. You went to Heritage, you're from Lynchburg. This is home for you. So I have 2 questions. One, on that note, has it ever been a struggle at all to I guess not know what it's like to go somewhere else, not be in a different environment and just be in that repetitive Lynchburg mode? Has that ever crept in at all? Because I know that's a reason why a lot of people that are 18, 17, they want to go somewhere else because they just want to experience something different.
Yeah, a lot of people they like to start fresh, you know, when they start being 18 and then in those 20s. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, sometimes, you know, being in a new scenery, some of those places that people like to go, like those big cities, you know, they're always good to visit. You know, I don't think they're really great to live, you know, to start a new life. But I mean, for some people it is. You know, some people like that fast city life, and some people like the slower city life, which is here in Lynchburg. But and there's nothing wrong with either of them. So for me, I would say in my perspective, I would probably say I wouldn't mind staying here, but I mean, it's always good to branch out. It's always good to experience because I mean, Lynchburg is such a good place to be. I mean, I've been here forever. So I think I can attest to that. But I mean, Lynchburg is a really good place to be, I would say. And for those that want to stay here, it's great. You know, it's you'll have those opportunities there. You'll have opportunities anywhere you go. But you know, there's still people that want to branch out, and some people that want to maybe go to a faster city or a bigger city, and there's nothing wrong with that either. And I say they always end up at some point coming back.